Welcome back. If you remember from our paint video, we showed you guys how to get rid of all the paint nibs. We showed you how to get rid of dirt, orange peel, things like that. We're up to the fourth stage of the 4P process, which is polish. And this door had quite a bit of extensive damage, and we had to go through all three of the first three steps on this door. The first thing we did is the prep. We took out all of the rust that we could get. We cut out metal, replaced it. We had to seal it, which brought us up to the prime stage. We went and used primer, a high build primer, knocked it down. Then we turned around, blocked it with 400, then with 600, which brought us up to paint. We painted it, and it was shiny, but it was dirty, so we dulled it back down, used 1500, then we sanded it down with 2000, cleaned everything up, then to 2500. So now this thing is just as smooth as ever, but it's dull. So we have to bring this back up to a shine. What do we have to do to get there, Michael?
Well, in the polishing step, we're going to start with a 3000 grit and work our way to 5000 grit. And what that's going to do, that's going to help reduce the cut and buff time of the buffer. You don't have to use extra cut grits. You can use a regular cut. And there's two different ways we can do this.
Okay.
The flat areas, we'll go ahead and use the 3000 grit on the DA pad. But once we get into the top of this door with all the different profiles in it, that DA is flat. It's not going to get down into them grooves, so we're going to have to do that by hand. So we'll go to 3000 and then 5000, and we're ready to buff it.
Okay, well, why don't you show me how to do it?
Let's get started. Okay, I'm going to start on the bottom of the door with 3000 grit on a DA because it's flat. I'm going to stay away from the edges because that can burn through very easily, but you just want to keep it moving around. You don't want to stay in one area too long, and it'll start bringing some of that gloss level right back up with just this. I like to do small areas at a time, and then I'll dry them off with the Finish First squeegee. And I can kind of see where I'm at, make sure I didn't get any grit in the pad. That can happen with these DAs, so you never want to lay it down flat on a table somewhere because it can pick up grit in the pad. So I'm just kind of keep dunking it in the bucket to get it moist. If you're using electric DA, that's probably not a good idea. So you want to make sure that you just keep the panel wet and keep moving around. So on the top of the door, I'm going to do by hand because I don't want to get the DA down there. That could be a chance that I could burn through the paint. So I'll take this by hand. I've just wetted it and just start hand sanding it. So I'm using 3000 grit here. So I'll go over this with 3000 grit, and then I'll go over the entire door with 5000. Now, this is a cushioned abrasive, so it has a foam backing on it. It will actually absorb water, so it will help retain that water as you're sanding on it. So now we're to the buffing process. So I'm using a high-speed buffer with a foam pad. They have different levels of pads that you can use, but I like using the foam pad. So there's right ways and wrong ways of using these, especially around the edges of doors. You need to pay particular attention to the way that the pad is rotating. And you want to make sure that you use the side of the pad that is going away from the edge of the door. So I don't want the backside being put up against it because it'll actually bite into that edge of the door and it'll start peeling the paint off. So you want to make sure you use this edge when you're going across that. Now you want to run it, each compound will give you a particular speed that they want you to run that buffer at. I'm going to run it about 1800 RPMs, and I'm using a regular cut compound because I've already taken it all the way up to 5000 grit, which has definitely helped reduce the buff time. So we're going to get started here with some regular cut compound, and I'm going to show you how this works. So I'm going to get this all buffed up. We're going to get it hung on the cab so we can show you a finished product. All right, that's the last bolt. We just got to put the glass in. The rest of the hardware and the door's done.
All right, well, that concludes the last step of the 4P process. We did the prep, prime, paint, and polish. We're pushing towards our deadline to restore this Diamond T, so join us next week. If you'd like to see more, subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Or follow our blog on gofinishfirst.com.
I got to figure out how to transition this, so stop it for a second. Stop it for 1 second. Stop the thing. All right. Well, that was the... See? I don't know what it is. Maybe it's you here. Maybe that's what it is.